one. This is a series of events and activities around the globe to celebrate the coaching profession. The week of May 17th and 20 to 23rd in ICF San Antonio and partner chapters in the Southeast United States are happy to welcome you and get us started with a very special treat. Today, we have two guests who are board members of ICF Global Board for Professional Coaches. I'm going to introduce them in just a moment. I am Susana Clavello, President of ICF San Antonio. And before we get started, I would like to recognize all the chapters in the Southeast United States who have collaborated with us in making this event happen. So a special recognition in alphabetical order to ICF Arkansas, Oklahoma, Austin, Central Florida, Georgia, Gulf Coast, Houston, North Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, South Florida, Tennessee, Virginia, and here us in San Antonio, Texas. So before we begin, we have a few words from a San Antonio sponsor, CPS Energy. They were very gracious. We are so thankful for their sponsorship for International Coaching Week. Chichi, can you please go ahead?
Now you go.
There we go.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Chichi Anyao, and I work for CPS Energy. I also happen to be a member of the ICF San Antonio. It is CPS Energy's honor to sponsor ICF San Antonio for International Coaching Week 2021. As the nation's largest municipally owned utility, providing both natural gas and electric services, we serve more than 840,000 electric customers and 352 natural gas customers in and around San Antonio, in the nation's 7th largest city. Our company's philosophy is people first. And this people first drives us to invest in our employees and to being good community partners. So with these two tenets in mind, this is why we're supporting ICF San Antonio's effort to celebrate the coaching profession and to educate the public on the value of working with professional coaches. So join us this week, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chichi. We appreciate you. We appreciate your sponsorship, your company sponsorship. And now let's take a minute where I would like for all of our participants, I know that some of you already introduced yourselves and told us where you were coming from or you're participating from. If you could also let us know, what is your current assignment or occupation? Are you a coach, an aspiring coach, a business leader? Are you a student or an instructor in a coach training program, a business leader? Tell us who you are. And then how do you envision the future of coaching? Just take a minute to do that. And as we continue to do that, I would like to go ahead and introduce, actually before we introduce our speakers, one of the things that I wanted to share with you is why is it important to talk about our profession in the digital age and in the future? And the answer to that is included in this video, which I'm going to share with you. And it's just about a minute long. And here we go.
Our speakers today are, first of all, Catherine Tanneau, MCC. She's the current chair of the Global Board of ICF Professional Coaches and past president of ICF France. She sits on several other boards and committees and is a co-founder of a digital platform. She's a published author and a public speaker. Catherine believes in the power of creative vision and human potential. And having spent more than 16 years abroad, she's multicultural and fluent in 4 languages. She's based, or home is somewhere, is part of Paris and Estonia. And she works in 3 continents regularly. Her main coaching specialties are executive coaching, digital transformation, and governance. And our other host is Kaveh, PCC. He's the current director of strategic initiatives at the Global Board of ICF Professional Coaches. In his role as executive coach, Kaveh partners with executives to help them improve their team skills, performance, and development. And he achieves this through utilizing positive behavioral change, positive psychology, and evidence-based coaching psychology. Before starting his career, Kaveh founded a technology startup firm and led a successful company buyout. Kaveh is also the author of the book Wars at Work, an action guide for resolving workplace battles. So without further ado, Kaveh and Catherine, it's all yours. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. It's your turn.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be with you today. I want to express first a big congrats to San Antonio chapters and the 12 other chapters that are organizing this amazing ICF Coaching Week for 2021, and all those in ICF that are organizing this coaching week. This is the moment to celebrate coaching power and see what is expecting us in the future. So I want also to express a few thoughts for those, you, yourself, your family, your community, your country, who have been suffering or are still suffering during the pandemic. And third, I wanted also to acknowledge the amazing energy I've encountered everywhere in the world among the coaching community, the willingness to serve, the willingness to help, the willingness to be useful during these tough times and uncertain times. So maybe with this introduction, we will start. Kaveh, would you mind to share your screen maybe? So let's let's start with some opening remarks about our coaching industry today. Most of these of the data we will be presenting with Kaveh are coming from the latest global coaching study conducted by ICF. This is one of the biggest, maybe the biggest one study worldwide about coaching just before the pandemic, with 22,000 answers in 161 countries. And on top of that, ICF has completed this survey with the post-pandemic last quarter of 2020 and first months of 2021, about 10,000 answers to understand what was the impact of the COVID on our profession. We also took some data from the Human Capital Institute and ICF study of the previous years on organizational coaching. So what we observe today, we observe that according to all this study, first of all, we are having a growing industry. That's amazing. The industry has grown about 15% every year since the last 5 years, and I would say that in the past decade the industry was growing by more than 50%, and in some region, for example in Latin America, it was more than 180% growth. So amazing growth. What else? We are seeing around 90,000 professional coaches around the world. This is an estimation. I guess it is a bit underestimated. That's the declaration we get from the coaching world. We may have more. Then about ICF, we are counting 42,000 members in more than 848 countries and chapters. Among these, we have 35 credential members everywhere in the world, credentialing being half of them are ACC, another big amount, a third or three-quarter are PCC, and a few MCC. We need more MCC. And last figures, we are seeing, that's really interesting for us, an increasing demand from corporate world, around 36 on average, could be more in some countries, could be less. We are also seeing, please go ahead, Kaveh. Yes, the coaching acceptance is everywhere. Coaching is seen now as a merit badge, not anymore a remedial for people that have problems. Still could be used in that sense, but basically it is a merit badge for champions. Then we are also seeing a more and more regular usage everywhere. Being used, coaching being used for C-suite, for leadership, for management levels, for young talents, for team, for collective change, for accompanying organizational cultural shift, digital transformation. And many organizations are also using more and more coaching for the well-being of their employee. If we go now about the challenges and the opportunity, we will present in these slides and presentation a few challenges and many opportunities. Next.
Thanks, Catherine. So what we're going to cover is we're going to cover two key challenges for coaches as we are going to explore meaningful profession in digital age. And also, we are going to look at the other possible challenge, which is around the long-term impact of the pandemic that all of us, regardless of where we are in the world, are facing. So let's start by exploring this concept of market confusion. So in order for me to do this, I'd like to invite you to travel with me in time. And I want you to travel from 2021 back to 1540. just under 500 years ago. I'd like you to come with me to Paris, the city of love. And I want you to have a look at this picture. And if you want, in maybe a minute that we've got, type in the chat box, what do you think this picture is showing? So let's just pause, maybe about a minute, and think about, what do you think this picture is showing? I'm wondering if one of you can read the chat box for me, because I don't see it on my screen, of some examples. What do we see there?
Everyday life.
Everyday life. Okay, okay. Remember that.
Barbershop.
Fabulous. Remember that we are in 1540 in Paris, the city of love. And this picture is a place, is showing something around that era.
All men.
Oh,
Multi.
yeah, well, actually, yes, possible, yes.
Upper class French nobleman.
Okay, great.
A barber shop.
Yes, yeah, it's getting hotter.
A social gathering.
Yeah, great.
Influence.
Yes, yes. Great. Okay, so I love this picture. We can spend many minutes, hours even, to explore this picture, and it's very interesting. So let me just share with you what this picture is about. And excuse my pronunciation. This picture is a picture known as Ambrose Paré, which is around 1510 to 20 December 1519. He was a French barber surgeon who served in the role for King Henry II, I think. Catherine probably knows more. Francis II, Charles, and Henry III. He is considered one of the father of surgery and modern forensic pathology, and a pioneer in the surgical techniques and battlefield medicine. So you might be thinking, what on earth this has got to do with coaching as a meaningful profession in digital age? So just bear with me for a few minutes. Barber surgeons were the usual medical practitioners through much of the Middle Ages, tasked with everything you can imagine, from bloodletting, amputation, leeching, pulling teeth, and of course, the everyday duties of cutting hair. It sounds quite haunting, thinking that while you were getting your arm sewed off, you could have got haircut too. And barber surgeons had to apply to the trade guilds and would subsequently become apprentice to the barbers. This apprenticeship was often tricky, rough, and mixed up. It covered a range of services, although it was connected with barbers. Over time, the term barber surgeon was born, and the basic service of a barber gained many other tasks. So I am just hoping that by now you can gradually see the connection of what barber surgeons did and what coaching as a profession in digital aging is about. So let me just ask you one more question. Imagine you were living in 1540. How would you decide what barber surgeon you would go to? So let's just put something in the text box, maybe like 30 seconds. I know we don't have that much time, and I've got lots of things to share with you.
The first one says, I would go to the master.
Master, yes. Great idea. But remember, at the time, it was very hard to know who's the master.
Word of mouth was the next one.
Fabulous. Yes, of course. So something was happening in there was the locality of the barbers meant that you would probably go somewhere close to you where word of referral and reference would help you to decide who's the master. Yeah.
The teacher of others.
Okay, so you probably would find a barber that possibly not only does the work, it also teaches other people as well.
Correct.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so what questions would you have asked yourself? Well, maybe many questions. I probably asked many questions, but maybe these 3 questions. What are barber surgeons offering? Because remember, they were offering everything. Do the particular barber surgeon providing service to me knows what he or she is doing? How would I know they know what they're doing? And I suppose I would have wanted to ask this question of myself, and that was, how do I differentiate between them? You see, in 1540, the consumers of barber surgeons were not sure what the barbers were offering. Remember, the value proposition included cutting hair, amputation, leeching, pulling teeth, and many more. The consumers were not sure about the trainings that barber surgeons had in delivering what they were offering. Finally, consumers had difficulty differentiating between them. Okay, maybe this was not a real challenge, as at that time, consumers would only go to the local barber surgeons. These are examples of challenges for consumers when there is what we call a market confusion.
Yes.
And you can see that gradually where this is happening. Now, imagine in 1540, we have even more challenge than they had in 1540. And that is, imagine in 1540, you could have had access to all barber surgeons, not just your local ones, in the world using some magic time distance travel machine. Does it seem similar to current coaching market? I propose we, the coaches and the coaching industry, are facing similar challenges as barber surgeons in about 1540, more than 500 years ago. There are some countries in which coaching is being defined as many things, amongst others, training, tutoring, mentoring, and many other forms. And I know that this impacts you here today, as it does in many areas around the world. This is more significant challenge because due to digitalization and technology, the world is getting smaller. We are getting connected more than ever. We also have dilution from individuals calling themselves coaches who may have not proper training to make that claim. Addressing the market confusion remains the top concern for coaches worldwide and definitely a top priority for the ICF. So I pass this now to Catherine.
Yeah, thank you. Back to the 2021, where, as you said, Kaveh, the geographical boundaries, thanks to technology and digitalization, are not anymore there. We work across the world. And how can we distinguish a coach from another? How can we distinguish the different competencies? So we are seeing 3 major dimensions of the market confusion. The first one is the competency confusion. What does it mean? It means that competency is something that you know how to differentiate a professional to another. And coming back to the Kaveh's example, between barber and surgeon, now we know perfectly what are the different competencies that are involved. But at that time, within a job role that was mixing competencies, it was not clear what were the competency for a barber or a surgeon. And today, in coaching world, we are seeing this kind of confusion about the competency. What the customer will be expecting as a competence for a coach. Not all our clients are aware of the 8 competencies, even that they were not aware of the 11. So that's one of the challenges, the competency confusion. The second one is the offering confusion. What does it mean? It means that it is difficult for the customer to distinguish the different offering by coach. for especially differentiating sometimes coaching from other professions, such as mentoring, advisory, counseling, consulting, even therapy. Maybe therapy is the one where the confusion is less, but still, we still have some confusion with mentoring, with tutoring, with training, with consulting, with mentoring. Last but not least, the third one is the differentiation confusion. How can I choose a coach worldwide if I don't know what I'm about to expect from one to another? How can I distinguish the service of a coach here in Texas or in Paris or in Spain or in Asia if I don't know what to expect, what kind of competency I'm looking for, what kind of competency I need, what kind of offering they are providing? So code, please put in the chat in a few seconds. What is among the three, 1, 2, 3, what would be for you the most challenging confusion for the market you are facing currently in your job? And we'll comment that while we are going ahead with the presentation. So as Kaveh said, the market confusion with the three confusion, competency, offering, and differentiation is one of the top priority, not only for coaches, but for professional bodies such as ICF. We really need to explain because this is something that will prevent us to succeed. Having asked during the survey, what would be the biggest obstacle for coaching in the next 12 months? It's clear that we have two main obstacles. One is untrained individuals, calling them coaches, or unethical individual practicing coaching and not being trained or not being ethics. And the second one is the marketplace confusion we have already talked about. Especially not very, there is no clear view of the benefits and the impact of coaching. Let's move a bit. Can we see in the chat what was for you the different, I'm seeing differentiation, offering also?
I think differentiation probably had the most of the three.
Yeah, differentiation for sure. And it's logical in a sense because differentiation is a way of providing a value proposition on what you are offering in terms of competency and services. So that logic, that differentiation is a kind of a global hat for the rest. So if we look at the challenges for the future, one of the challenge is the long-term impact of the pandemic. We have seen that the short-term impact was for sure the decrease in revenue, not probably the decrease in hours, because our coaches, and I don't know if it's the case for you, have given many pro bono hours, but still the revenue were decreasing during this pandemic. And the second one is the global impact of pandemics. So the possibility of a global recession, the possibility of the pandemic going longer, which is apparently the case, especially in certain geographies. So that was one of the major threat. And the second one, please, Kaveh, can you move the slide? Yes, it's the long-term impact and obviously the competence confusion. And I would say that the digitalization, the working distantly is increasing at first sight this competence confusion, because many people are offering many things, and the offer is all digital, digitalized, and through Zoom, Teams, whatever tool is, it seems that the competence confusion is increasing. This is what the survey is underlying. So let's move a bit on the side of opportunity. And Kaveh, you have some good news for our friends.
And thank you. So to explore some of the opportunities in coaching as a meaningful profession in the digital age, I'd like you to invite you come back to May the 17th, 2021, just in case you are still hanging in 1540 from the previous exercise. So let's talk about what's happening. Well, we have been witnessed many things that are accelerating the rate of change. For example, we have witnessing many outsourcing, many vertical, horizontal integration, and fast and rapid movement in globalization and technology. More than ever, I propose we are now exposed to big data with 4 characteristics of large volume, velocity, variety, and veracity. So what does that mean? Well, to discover the opportunities with digital age, I think it's very hard. And I'd like to invite you to spend a few minutes with me together exploring the concept of exponentials. Before that, I think the quote by Carl Sang is very relevant to our discussion about digitalization age. So the quote says, if you understand exponentials, the key to many of the secrets of the universe is in your hand. So as you know, Carl Edward Sang was an American astronomer, planetary scientist, I think cosmologist, and also astrophysics, author and involved in many science literature as one of the main people that have things to say about this topic. So let's see what's happening here. So in this chart, we see 2 lines, one representing the intuition about the future in green, and one representing the exponential trend and impact of digital age. Our intuition about the future is linear, the green line on the graph, because the history of human experience to date mainly has been analog. Now we enter the digital age, the red line. The difference between the lines, our intuition versus the reality of our surroundings, is profound today, and increasingly so at accelerating rates in the future. You see, the delta between the two makes a profound difference, and it's changing everything forever. Just think about it. If I take 30 steps linearly, I get to 30. If I take 30 steps exponentially, I get to 1 billion. And if we are not careful, this might happen to us. By the way, WTF stands for where or maybe what is the future, just in case if you had any other interpretation for WTF. So all of this means that not only the rate of change is getting faster and faster, but the nature of change is also changing. This means what is happening to us is not necessarily about the chance, but about the change. The delta between our linear intuition and the actuality of what is happening around us is diverging all of the time. Where intellect fails, imagination fails. And apathy has suddenly become the #1 destructive killer force of the future. We might not know what the future of digital age will be exactly, but I think we know, but I think probably be something around working towards better, easier, faster, and cheaper. So the shift between the 2 lines from our intuition to the reality of our surroundings would possibly create for most of us, leaders, managers, feelings of confused, uncertain, perplexed, disoriented, and maybe even unclear. So what's the opportunity? Well, in digital age, we as coaches need to leap from linear trend to digital age exponential trend during the digital age. Still, we have incredible opportunities to also support our clients, organizations, communities, and society at large with the same leap between the 2 trend lines. So There are some examples, these are some examples we as coach might experience as we are leaping to digital age. I'm not going to read the slides, but for example, number 4 is about encouraging digital thinking in general, which might have very impact on how we coach people and what tools we use if digital tools are more rapidly available to us. Number 5 is about getting data-driven insight. Because of digitalization, we might be able to have much more insight of what is happening in the coaching or what is not happening in the coaching, and hence have a better chance to have more reflective practice. We can possibly categorize the impact of digital coaching into 3. Things coaches do that are administrative, basics, or don't require the skill of a coach, which we can automate to use the coach's expensive time on things that have more impact for the clients. 2, things coaches do that require their skill and have an impact, which we make them easier and maybe more efficient and better. And finally, the 3rd category is about tools that are outside most coaching today that we can incorporate into the coaching experience. So these are examples of a possible leap for us as coaches in digital age. It's interesting because when we look at the surveys that was done recently, a large majority of coach practitioners, 71%, also agree or strongly agreed that coaches will have to invest more in technology in the future. Of course, in here you can see the regional breakdown as well. So, how can we support our clients to do the leap between the current linear move and the digital age? Maybe by looking at the change complexity metrics, we can get an insight into what is happening. So, maybe quickly, this chart might look a bit complicated, but in a very simple term, in this matrix, the x-axis represents how certain we are about the outcome of our decisions. And the y-axis represents how much we all agree on what outcome we should go for. So x-axis is about certainty and y-axis is about agreement. So as you can see at the bottom corner, area one, we have rational decision-making challenges, meaning we are confident on how to achieve the outcome. We all agree on what outcome is the best. Much of the management literature and theory, I would say, addresses the region on the metrics, region 1, close to certainty and close to an agreement. In this region, we use techniques such as gathering data from past to predict the future. We plan a specific path of actions to achieve outcome and monitor the actual behavior by comparing it against these plans. This is sound management practice for issue and decisions that fall in this area, area 1. The goal in this area is to repeat what worked to improve efficiency and effectiveness. We all agree that if our leaders are spending a lot of their time here, we might have other problems like delegation, succession planning, talent management, and maybe many other things. We all agree that some of the time of our leader is spent on political decision-making. That is area 2, meaning issues have a great deal of certainty about the outcome, but high level of disagreement about which outcomes are desirable. Neither plan nor shared mission is likely to work in this context. Instead, politics becomes more important. Coalition building, negotiation, compromise are used to create the organization's agendas and direction. So, judgmental decision-making, area 3, in here, issues have a high level of agreement, but not much certainty about the cause and effect linkages to create the desired outcome. In these cases, monitoring against a preset plan will not work. A strong sense of shared mission or vision may substitute for a plan in these cases. Okay, comparisons are made not against objective, but the mission and vision for the organization. In this region, the goal is to head towards an agreed upon future state, even though the specific path cannot be predetermined. A large area on this diagram lies between anarchy region and the region of the traditional management approaches. And this is the large central region, the zone of complexity area, area 5. So in this zone of complexity, the traditional management approaches are not very useful and practical. In management, we spend much of our time teaching how to manage area 1, 2, and 3. In this region, we can present models which extrapolate from experience and thereby can be used to forecast the future. But let's pause and think. What do you think about the 5 areas? Which of the 5 areas do you think our leaders of digital age are spending most of the time in? Let's see what you have in mind in the chat box. Which of the 5 areas do you think leaders of digital age is spending or are spending most of the time in?
So far, complex decision-making is the leader.
I think we all agree. We all agree that managers and leaders spend more of the time in area 5 that requires complex decision-making. So coaching as a meaningful profession in digital age can play an important role supporting our clients, the coachees, to get ready for zones 5 and maybe 4. Okay, so how can we do this? Coaching can help clients in digital age to develop, I would want to call this panoramic awareness. So panorama, as you know, is a Greek word that means all sight. For example, in this context means looking at everything with the person, purpose, well-being, performance, amongst many other things. Coaching can significantly impact the individual level by bringing humanity in all of us to the forefront. In the digital age, we support our clients to live between the 2 trade lines, the intuition and the reality of the surroundings, imagination and dreams for possibilities. Coaching in digital age can support the clients when intellect fails and imagination fails, by supporting in discovering their panoramic awareness. In supporting the coaches to do the shift, the coaching of digital age will support the clients addressing 3 types of awareness: hindsight, insight, and foresight. So hindsight, as you might gather, looks behind, back at the past. Hindsight enables us to ask, where have I come from? Which helps our understanding that things from our past shape us for good and sometimes for bad. However, we may need healing from some experiences as well. Healthy mind hindsight understands that the past can positively shape us. Even traumatic, as we all know now, or painful events, because everything is redeemable. Insight, on the other hand, sees with a reflective perspective. It looks inward, seeing the situation with our inner world. Insight asks, what am I cultivating to discern the unique culture we carry? Holding it up against our vision, we can assess whether our current internal world would help or hinder our journey. It is essential not just to identify what has and can be being cultivated, but also what needs to be cultivated in future. Through insight, we identify areas of attitude, mindset, and character we must grow or prune if we want to be successful in the ways we hope to be. Now, foresight sees from strategic perspectives. It looks at the next step by embracing both the present and the future, connecting them by identifying what needs to be done on today's journey to reach tomorrow's destination. It asks possibly, what should I be doing? And turns the lessons of other perspectives into actions. It generates momentum by determining goals, targets, and objectives that ensures we don't just think or talk about what we should do, but what we want to do. It's interesting that when we look at the data that we've gathered in the recent surveys, what do you believe to be the biggest opportunity for coaching over the next 12 months? And we can see increased awareness of the benefits of coaching. So I now pass it to our wonderful Catherine.
Thank you, Kaveh. I do love the zone 4 and 5. I do think that we were used to work in the VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, and complex and ambiguous. And we moved during the pandemic on the edge of chaos on zone 4, facing unknown, uncertain, and really needing for foresight and to find new idea, creative solution to be able to obtain the ripple effect we want. And what we want to give you now is some international perspective on what can we do to make coaching a meaningful profession at the digital age. What do we need to acknowledge together? How can we work better, cooperate better together? I do think we are still a baby profession, even if we are 25 plus years old as official profession. I do think it started before the Barber and Surgeon story, even at the antique Greece, where the Socratic meiotic was a kind of coaching, enabling people, enabling reflection, enabling others to find their own way. So what are the expectations now to do when we have no geographical boundaries, when we are entering in the age of chaos? First of all, I want to remind you the vision, the ICF vision as coaching as an integral part of a thriving society. And also like to remind, aside the vision, the definition of coaching, which is still for me very vibrant and very useful in this digital age. The being partnering with clients in a so provocative relationship that will enable the other to reach unknown territories, to attain foresight dreams and any other future perspective. So the challenge here is how can we drive individuals, groups, companies, community, and how coaching can bring benefits to overcome market confusion and to take advantage of the new opportunities that we are seeing in this unknown, uncertain, and full of different things that we are seeing now flourishing in the world. So and last but not least, it's also how can we build a coaching case, a strong coaching case for organization, and also how can we bring coaching as a part of game changer for a better world, a better society, a better humanity, especially at digital age. So going next, what we are seeing is that the technology the regulation before technology. Let's talk a bit about regulation. So the chart that we are seeing now is the question was asked: do we need to have coaching regulated, and by whom? Not surprisingly, coaching not only is seen now as a true profession, and in some countries, I was with Brazil in the beginning of the day, and also with France, and that are two examples of countries that have been through major challenge to make coaching recognized as a profession under the HR profession. No doubt that the recognition of coaching and also the self-regulation by professional bodies such ICF and jointly with other professional bodies is a way to overcome this market confusion that everything is equal. No, everything is not equal. Next, what we can see to contribute to make this a meaningful experience and return on expectation about coaching is we need to help our client, we need to help the community, the society to understand what are the results of coaching. How can we bring value to our client? How can we prove and build strong business case to demonstrate the impact of coaching? Next, please. A way to answer to our code, the first code, the C, competency confusion in the market, is the credentialing. The credentialing is seen by 82% of the respondents of the survey as a key things to overcome the competency confusion. And actually, we are good at ICF. We are better than other associations, as almost half of the members are credentialed. We still are aiming to have like 99% of credentialed members, but that's my dream. Another interesting way to build a strong business case for coaching and the proof that coaching has an impact is looking at this data about what can bring a coaching culture when it is spread in a company. These data are coming from the HCI, Human Capital Institute, and ICF survey from 2017. And they are showing that a coaching culture is valuable, not only from the customer satisfaction point of view, not only from the shareholder value, but especially by employee value coaching culture, value a coaching environment. Not only it brings engagement, not only it brings performance, but it may bring something that is now very much requested, which is well-being and self-care at professional workplace. We can move on the coaching for social change. Obviously, we all know, and I'm sure that some of you have already worked with ICF Foundation or with other NGO. We know that coaching may have and will have a stronger impact on benefit for the society, influencing social change, influencing many situations, difficult situations. Just a figure that really amazed me is that only the ICF Foundation in the last few years has touched 10 million lives only with pro bono coaching. So the matter is not turning all your business in pro bono, but the matter is engaging yourself in having, on one hand, sustainable coaching practice with client, with rich clients that can afford coaching for their employee and leaders. And on the other hand is how you can engage or go on engaging yourself in providing coaching for good, coaching for society, coaching for well-being, coaching for purpose, coaching for diversity, equity, social justice, and inclusion. So what a few nice things. I won't read the slide, but let me share with you that now we are observing that a quarter of the organization have now aligned in their budget for coaching, which would be a good news. We need to still to help them to spend this. And the other thing is that we are seeing that manager and leaders using coaching skills are increasing amazingly. And they are receiving coach-specific training more and more. That's another opportunity to overcome this market confusion, this market differentiation for coaches, while explaining the benefit for manager and leaders, explaining how coaching can be not only a very valuable modality for organization, but also part of the leadership competency model. Let's summarize a few challenges. So, but at the end of the day, we have our famous market confusion, the code, remember, competency, differentiation, and offer confusion. Sorry, competency, offer, and differentiation. And the post-pandemic that is completely uncertain for many of us. And on the hand of our opportunities, we have the credible data on coaching that is completely requested, the need for awareness, the need for pedagogy, the need for strong business case, the increasing demand of coaching everywhere, the increasing need everywhere, and more technology, more human. We are seeing, as Kaveh mentioned before, technology as a friend, could be a foe, but we do think it's a friend in one condition. Kaveh, next slide. The one condition is that you invest in yourself, you use the technology, you invest in technology also, or else technology will use you. And we are seeing many platforms coming on the market, many practices, not all completely aligned with what we think coaching is, what the ethic and professionalism. So that's very important. And last but not least, a few tips in the last minutes of our presentation before giving the floor to questions. Well, Kaveh, some tips.
So as you can see, Catherine, there are a number of tips, and there are many more. And this is just consolidated by us just doing some brainstorming. So for me, one of my favorite in here is that communicate about coaching impact and credibility. I think it's so important as coaches, particularly in digital age. We are competent and comfortable and efficient to have that pitch to be able to communicate the impact and the credibility of coaching. Because I believe we are still in an area where we are trying to create awareness. And hence, this is very important for us. So I will take number five as my favorite tip of the day. How about you, Catherine?
I love the number 5. I will complete with number 9 and 10. Develop self-care and wellness a bit, because you are the tool, you are the coach. And if the coach is not well, if the coach is not capable to take care of himself or herself, how can he or she take care of others? And the 10 that is completely related with the 9s is also what you are doing now. Connect with your community, connect with other coaches worldwide. Now we have the chance to be connected wherever we are. We are missing still the dancing, the music, the glass of wine, water, or whatever, the food, but still we can connect with everywhere, with everyone from the community, connect with ICF, and care and take care. Thank you. The floor is yours for question, Susanna and our team.
All right. First of all, wow. Thank you, Catherine and Kaveh, for sharing your expertise, your knowledge. This was fascinating. I don't know about all of the attendees today, but you got my wheels turning and really rethinking a lot of things, bringing a lot of concepts to our awareness. First of all, I want to thank you for really helping us start International Coaching Week from an international perspective. And second of all, thank you for sharing so many concepts that we now have to digest. And of course, we have some questions coming up. But your concepts were from both a big perspective, big picture. A lot of times we think of regional or local, but you helped us really share that perspective, and also to get ahead in our profession, stay relevant, stay abreast, and provide clarity on what professional coaching truly is. We're extremely grateful for you, for both of you, for sharing all of this. And so at this moment, before we begin with questions, we have a big question from the audience, and is, will you be willing to share your slides?
Yes.
So that we can share with the audience. Thank you so much for doing that. And so we have 15 minutes for questions and answers, actually probably a few more minutes. And Tanneau is going to help me with some questions that may be posted on the chat. I'm going to go ahead and read some questions that are in our Q&A. And one of the questions is the following: what is the strategic vision to address COD? It comes to confusion. For example, what is the strategic direction that ICF Global is taking to continually build the brand, the coaching guidelines in the marketplace? Digital media and outreach make sense. However, what are the strategic relationships ICF is targeting?
Maybe I will start just to remind our audience that we have, as professional coaches, we have 4 pillars in our strategic plan. And among these 4 pillars, we have at least 3 about how to develop the market, how to influence the market, how to grow our coach and market, and how to lead in this world, how to lead as coaches, how to lead as professional, how to lead as an association. And I will let Kaveh complete. Let me also talk about the new ICF. We have been created new family organization in 2020, moving ICF forward with a foresight, ambitious and meaningful vision of International Coaching Federation will be the federation worldwide that will expand the coaching territory, which means that coaching is not only for solo entrepreneurs that are coaching private person. That's for sure that is still the case. Life coaching is still vibrant and useful, but now coaching is a wider profession that is not only defined of what it is not, but what it is in complement with other professions such as consulting, such as strategic change management, such as agile, lean approach, that coaching can be an accelerator. So we are seeing coaching as a wider modality than only the usual definition of coaching for one individual. The other thing we are seeing also is the case for team coaching, which is one of the area of development of ICF with the team coaching competencies, and which is much more than just competencies. It's really a new perspective on our profession and on how coaches can integrate new skills, new knowledge, new holistic vision of the corporate world and of the world in general. So that are the points I wanted to highlight. Kaveh, you want to add something?
I think you said you covered a number of things. So just to add, so for the first competence confusion, the first C, as you know, we emphasize a lot around our competencies. You know, we make sure that our competencies are taught in all of the training centers. We make sure that they represent the gold standard. We're trying to kind of link them to research. so that we know our coaches, when they're competent, they can illustrate the behavior and the competencies that they have. In terms of offering confusion, the O of the card, we trying now, as you know, 25 years ago, coaching was very different. It was kind of a one-to-one type of intervention. Gradually, you know, we went to the group and now to the team. So we are now, as you know, the team coaching competency was released. And this is trying to provide more offering, to have boundaries around the offering, so that if someone says, I can do team coaching, they need to show their competency rather than just saying it. So by coming up maybe more kind of a niche or a specialization in coaching competencies, we are trying to help with the offering confusion. I believe the D of the code, which is differentiation confusion, is something that individual coaches need to do. Because remember, we need to differentiate ourselves. And this is something that we all need to invest. We all need to invest not only to be brilliant coaches, but also have the relevant knowledge, skills about setting up a coaching practice. Because it's only there that we can differentiate ourselves from everyone else. So in some extent, we do collaborate, we do work, but at the same time, the differentiation is something that each of us have to take on the responsibility and try to work by becoming more aware, not only on the coaching, but also on setting up a practice for coaching. And that's my view.
Thank you both for that. We have a question that's kind of related, because now we're talking about the code of ethics, okay? And the question goes like this. Can you comment on what ICF is doing to support members in this area? From ICF Code of Ethics Standard 7, Interpretive Statement, 2020, I seek to make proper use of emerging and growing technology developments that are being used in coaching services, like technology-assisted coaching devices, and be aware how various ethical standards apply to them.
Ethic is one of our priority. When we were mentioning that one of the major obstacles about untrained individuals calling themselves coaches, behind the scene, there are also any unethical behavior. With the emergence of data, of platform, of digital services that will be in coaching soon and that are already in coaching, we need to increase our awareness. So this statement is about awareness of coaches, about what are the consequences of certain behavior using certain technology. Are we breaching the confidentiality? Are we still respecting the privacy? Are we respecting the data? I know in Europe we have the famous GDPR, the control of the privacy of data. It is not the case everywhere. So we have to be, I would say, awake and aware of what could be the consequences of technology in our profession. Kaveh, you are our tech man on the board, so maybe you want to cross ethic and tech.
I think ethic is not immune from digital aging, like many things. So with digital aging, what it tells us is that we've got to constantly keep our eyes on the ball and make sure as the digital age is progressing, we have appropriate, relevant, suitable ethical guidelines that support our members. So I don't see that as a destination. I see that as having our eyes on the process, because in digital age, something that we know for sure is everything is changing. And hence, rather than aim for a destination, we need to have the right team and processes in place to constantly review, update, and make sure that we are not left behind the change.
Yeah. Let me add a point to that we have created this TLI, Thought Leadership Institute, with the objective of researching the future which is quite ambitious. Future of work, future of coaching, future of human resource, future of planet. And they have the mission to provide fresh learning, fresh research, to make sure that as ICF we can anticipate the trends. So agree with Kaveh, the only certain thing is that we don't know and we won't know, but at least we have the mean to investigate and explore.
Oh, definitely. All right, one more question. I agree that we need to be aware of the difference between exponential and linear line, which is derived from intuition, as you mentioned. In the meantime, I trust ICF core competencies model values intuition, and I strongly believe so. I'm very curious about your view on whether we should maintain presence by being grounded on our own intuition or move away from it.
Kaveh, the exponential is for you.
That's more like a philosophical question than anything else. Of course, if you remember when I talked about the panoramic awareness, we said it's not about where the inside is better than the hindsight or one is better than the foresight. It's really about trying to pay attention to all of it. So of course it's important to pay attention to intuition, to what comes for us. But at the same time, we should never forget that each of us, doesn't matter how much we try to be present, we are subject to biases, okay? And biases are the borders that sometimes prevent us of imagining something that doesn't even exist. So the question is not to forget about insight, even hindsight, but is to complement all of that with foresight. And I think if we can do panoramic awareness as a value proposition of a coach, then maybe, in my humble opinion, we can differentiate in terms of what is our value proposition compared to other interventions.
And I would add that this is one of our major challenges, to cultivate the both and the paradoxical leadership in ourselves, as we are seeing our leaders cultivating the paradoxical leadership. What does it mean? It does mean in the same time, you need to be intuitive and rational. You need to see the long term and the short term. You need to see the cooperation, the competition. You need to reconcile the two opposite and complementary dimensions of the life. And there is no other way. So this will request some agility, like a gym. It is sometimes painful, but we need to stretch our coaching capacity.
So we have a question that's sort of related to what you just said. And the question is, what is the best way? What would you recommend as the best way to approach a potential client on their need for coaching? We have all encountered those, right?
I've three words: listen, listen, listen.
Yeah, and I think for me it's the same. You know, try to coach when you are trying to find out what clients want from coaching, which is, again, as Catherine said, be present, be listen, and try and seek to understand, and then see how your value proposition could bring value to the client.
Yeah.
Again, thank you both. Tanise, do we have any questions from the chat?
I don't have any more questions. I do have a hand raised. Debbie Diamond, did you want to ask a question, or did you accidentally raise your hand, which I know happens on Zoom? If you would like to ask a question, I can allow you to talk, and you are more than welcome to come in and ask a question. Maybe it was just an accident. That was a great feature that we could have used. So we'll remember that next time to use the hand raise. That's it.
Most definitely. that's it in terms of questions. Okay. So before we wrap up, I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to make some quick announcements. And so what I'm going to talk about next is what's coming up in terms of events, both for International Coaching Week and after that. And so we've asked our ICF chapter chapters that have collaborated with us to share some of their announcements. ICF North Texas is offering pro bono coaching for the North Texas Food Bank. On May 19th, Wednesday, we have an event of ACMP Global in partnership with ICF Global on reopening after COVID. By the way, ACMP stands for the Association for Change Management Professionals. On Wednesday also, ICF Georgia is offering an event, Coaching with Cultural Competence, starting at 12:30 Eastern Time. The ICF Texas chapters, in association with the Association of Change Management Professionals in Texas, will have conversations that create and sustain change. We're going to have 2 master certified coaches and Barry Bridges as the ACMP in San Antonio representative do this presentation. ICF Virginia on June 4th wants to announce Power of Pause, the new science of brain breaks, stress reduction and self-care with James Garrett. And ICF Gulf Coast on June 16th is offering Taking Notes in Coaching with Kelly Johnson. Last but not least, today's event, yes, we will share the slides with everybody after Kaveh and Catherine share it with us, but we have also been recording this event, and you can watch it in the upcoming days on both YouTube or listen to it on SoundCloud. If you have any questions about it, there's an email address on your screen that you can contact.
I also put in the presentation, which I just realized I only sent to one person. I didn't have the right selection. To all panelists, I'll put it in there again now. I am putting a link to all of the events of the week that Susanna just went through. That link is in the chat. So you can see that all of those events will be happening and share those with your chapter as well.
Thank you so much, Denise. And we also want to remind everybody that we're very, very proactive in social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Vimeo, SoundCloud, and Slack. So please follow us, like us, share your comments. We look forward to hearing from you. And we also want to thank, and yeah, let me go back to Denise in just a second. And I just want to acknowledge one more time all the ICF chapters that have collaborated with us in making this event happen. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and go ahead. Go ahead, Denise.
Yes, one of the questions asked was about receiving CCEUs. We will be uploading the participants, sending those to the chapter, and making sure that your CCEUs come from your chapter. If for any reason you do not get one, please feel free to send the email to either contact or programming@icfsa.org, and we will make sure you get that.
Thanks, Denise. And so this concludes our event. I want to thank one more time Catherine and Kaveh from the heart for really bringing this awareness to all of us and sharing your knowledge, sharing your expertise, sharing your unique perspective that otherwise we wouldn't have access to today, and just to launch our International Coaching Week with such fascinating topics. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I also want to acknowledge all of our participants from many places in the United States, some places outside of the United States. Thanks for taking the time and choosing to be here today. And any other remarks, Denise, before we conclude?
No, just a lot of additional thank yous from everyone's heart on the time and dedication that all of you, actually, including you, Susanna, have given to ICF Global in starting off International Coaching Week. Thank you.
Katrina and Kaveh, thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you all. Enjoy Coaching Week.
And let's have a fantastic International Coaching Week. So we will stop the recording at this point.